Hi, good day. This is Keith Shackelford from Irvine Valley College. Welcome to this edition of the Laser's Edge. With us today, we're really happy to have two special guests, head women's basketball coach Julie Hanks and star guard Emily Luckeroth. Coach Hanks is in her 9th season at Irvine Valley College, has won 143 games, winning 63% of her career contests here at the college. Emily Luckeroth is a 5'9" guard from Palm Desert High School, entering her sophomore season as the second leading scorer on last year's team and the top returning scorer for this year. Ladies, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
2005-2006 was a stellar season for the Lasers, finishing 22-9, 6-8 in the Orange Empire Conference. But due to the unique nature of the seeding process for women's basketball playoffs, the Lasers earned the dubious distinction of being the winningest program in California history, with 22 wins, not to make the postseason playoffs. A tough way to end the season for what was otherwise an excellent and extraordinary year. Featuring two players, both Brittany Crawford and Vanessa Dominguez, who are named All-Conference, Dominguez also being named a Kodak All-American candidate as part of the season's play. She left the school as a leading rebounder and leading scorer in school history and will have some tough shoes to fill for the Lasers this year. In 2006-2007, the Lasers feature 3 returners, including 2 starters, and a very athletic crew of freshmen. With a typical non-conference schedule that's tough but should prepare the Lasers well for the OEC season, we'll see what the non-conference segment has wrought come January and February when the women begin doubleheader play with the men against Orange Empire conferences. You're an awful long way from home, kid from Palm Desert High School. Why did you choose Irvine Valley College?
Well, I grew up in the Coachella Valley, so after 18 years I kind of figured it was time for a bit of a scene change. I had one of my best friends played on the men's team at Palm Desert High School, and he told me he was going to come check out a college in Irvine. Invited me to come along, and after meeting the coaching staff and the players, I kind of decided this is probably the best place for me to try and get better and try to get to the next level.
You were pretty widely recruited at a high school as well. I mean, you obviously had your choice of colleges. Was it a tough decision to kind of leave that far from home?
In a way, yes, but I kind of figured out that in Coachella Valley it's just not that great of a place to get looked at, kind of far from any major colleges. So I kind of figured if I wanted to get to the next level and get to where I wanted to go, that I was going to have to go where, people get seen, and that's obviously out in the Orange County, San Diego area, so that's why I decided to come here.
Let's talk a little bit about this year's team. How's training gone thus far? We're awful young, so how's team chemistry? How's the learning curve going?
Well, I can confidently say that this is the scrappiest and most aggressive team I've ever been on, and I think that has a great deal to do with the fact that we're so young. But because of the heart of this team, I can say that our lack of height can definitely be made up for by our heart, and I think that's going to help us win a lot of games this year.
3 returning players, including 2 starters, and a whole handful of freshmen. Mm-hmm. What are kind of the expectations of the squad based on training thus far?
Well, for us sophomores, the 3 of us on the team, I can definitely say that we would love to make it to playoffs this year. We had a great season last year, but the ending was kind of bittersweet. So making it to playoffs would definitely be a great thing. And I think we're going to concentrate on conference a little bit more this year as well. We had a great, up to conference, we killed it, and then in conference we kind of let it go a little bit. So I know for this team, we know it's definitely a marathon, it's not a sprint, so we're going to try and stay consistent throughout the season.
What do you see as your role on the floor this season, offensively, defensively, as one of the returners?
Offensively, I would say I'm going to be a scoring threat this year. We have a lot of good shooters, so the pressure's not too heavy for me to be a great scorer, but because of all the shooters we have, I know that it's going to be easier for me to get my points. And defensively, we have a great defensive team this year, so we're going to be a lot more vocal, and I think that's going to help us out too, and I see my job is to lead us in that.
Last year, 4 of our first 6 sophomores. You were one of the freshmen that was seeing lots of playing time, especially as a starter. Not going to have that kind of luxury this year. What do you see your role in terms of leadership?
I think that my biggest goal as a captain and as a sophomore is to help make the transition for our freshmen who are coming out of high school, try and make the transition easier, because obviously from the high school to the college game is a big step up. So just kind of help them out and let it be a little easier transition and let them all come into their own. And I think that they've all been pretty good at listening to me and knowing that I've been here and I've been where they are, so they've all been pretty respectful when I've been there to tell them how this game goes.
Well, 1 year under your wings at this point, including a school record 35 points against Chaffee pretty early in the season. And that's not even a career high, 42 when you're back in high school. We've heard athletes talk about those kind of games, about the zone. Was it really one of those feelings for you as well?
It's kind of, both games were pretty much a blur to me. Both games I actually had no idea how many points I had until after the game I had to get told. But yeah, it was definitely one of those things where the stars are all aligned and your shot's just falling. Yeah, I'd definitely say I was in a zone.
Let's talk about the fact that now you are a sophomore. Not only are you more comfortable in your skin, but so does the rest of the conference. It's not like Emily's going to sneak up on anybody. Although we may not see 35 in a game, do you see teams that may be gunning for you based on what you saw in the summer?
You know, they might be, but if they are, good luck to them, because if they're going to focus on me, they're going to get hurt in a lot of other ways. We got Danielle Swenson, who was on the team last year. She's a shooter. Katie Ryan's a shooter. We have so many shooters on our team that if they want to focus on me, I almost, ask them to, because they're going to get hurt in ways they didn't see coming.
Great attitude. Coach, let's talk about the attitude of this team this year. Maybe we should start with last year to start. 22-9, start off 17-1. How disappointing was that last year when you didn't get to the playoffs?
Well, it was very disappointing. I mean, not just for me, but all the players. I mean, that's what we were gunning for. We had that team for 2 years. But at the same time, I think it took a lot this year, for especially the 3 returning players, to be able to step up to the plate and say, you know what, it's not about preseason, it's about conference. And you got to hand it to our conference. Our conference is the toughest in the state, and those teams were ready for us, and we just weren't up for the challenge. And I think that's really going to help us this year to be up for the challenge for conference.
The sophomores have been able to effectively convey that message along with the coaching staff to the young ones?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that this year's team, like Emily has said, is very scrappy. And I think that their long-term goal is to get to the playoffs, not just a preseason and say, okay, well, we're going to do this, and then come to conference time, not get in. I just think it's a credit to the 3 sophomores that have been back to be able to relay that to the rest of the players on the team.
Let's compare that difficulty with the end of the season with the reward, obviously, and seeing 3-year players go on to the 4-year level, 2 on scholarship, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually 4. There was 4 players. Laura Murphy went to Redlands. Monique Newsom just went to Long Beach State. She's not playing. And then Cassie Brick was a walk-on at Cal Poly Pomona. And Vanessa got a full scholarship to Cal Poly. And then Brittany went to Westmont.
That's Vanessa Dominguez, who was a Kodak All-American candidate last year.
Right, absolutely. And we're going to miss her. She led the team in scoring and rebounding. But at the same time, the focus won't just be on her. We have 5 players on the court that play together, and we won't have to focus on one person. So I think this year is, we're younger, but I think we're more well-balanced than we have been.
With just 3 back, it's going to obviously take some adjustment. Are we seeing the preseason schedule kind of get the young ones up to speed and then gear towards the OEC this year?
Our preseason schedule is going to be the same. We're going to play the same tough teams, teams that are in the top 10 early on. And, I think our goal is to get ready for January. Play the best we can and get better. I think if we rely on preseason games, then we're going to be in the same position we were last year. We've got to get better each game and get ready for January, because that's when it's most important.
We've heard a little bit about some of the players that are going to be part of this, but what do you really see as the strength of this program this year?
Like Emily has mentioned a few times, we're very scrappy. The kids are competitors. They don't like to lose. They'll push you down if they have to. I mean, and it's like my first year's team when I first started IVC. They were just a bunch of competitors. And that year's team went to state. We only had 8 players, but they were tough kids. And this year's team reminds me of that. They just don't like to lose. And we may get beat one game, but the other team may get beat up.
What type of leadership role do you find yourself in this year? Last year you could turn to a Vanessa Dominguez and Brittany Crawford and know that there was some leadership on the floor. It sounds like Emily may fill that role this year, but she's also fewer in number than last year. What do you see your leadership role this year?
Well, I think it is to give leeway to Emily to do some things on the court that maybe she didn't have to do last year. We are in numbers as far as only 3 players returning, but at the same time, my role is to actually just let them grow a little bit, because I think last year we wanted to win early, and we did, and then we didn't win late. And so I think this year is to be a little bit more, give them more leeway to improve, to get better for January. Give them some confidence.
We've talked a lot about it, but the defensive style of play, what can we expect to see offensively? Are we going to run the floor? Is this going to be a ball control offense? What can we expect to see offensively?
If people give us a layup, we're going to take a layup. if they don't, then we're going to be slowing it down and playing 30 seconds of a shot clock, and I think that's going to help our defensive pressure to get back and play quality defense. We can't get into a running game with too many teams. I think if that's the case, it's going to be a long night for us. I think we need to control the ball, but definitely if they're going to give us layups, we're going to take it.
Emily talked a lot about the shooters on the ball club. How's the post play shaping up so far?
You know, we got two good post players in there that, you know, quality moves. Kayla is probably our biggest and best post player in there. She's got hands, and, you know, she's a great player. And, you know, for a freshman coming in and not playing only 2 years of high school, she's a good player. And I don't think she realized how good she was until she got here. And so she's going to be the backbone of, she's a good player. And I don't think she realized how good she was until she got here. And so she's going to be the backbone of the post defense. And you got Hilda that can play inside and outside. So, and then our shooters. I mean, and not only that, but Kayla and Hilda are great passers from the post. So if they're going to leave the shooters open, and it's not just one shooter, everybody can shoot on the team.
Got a new coaching staff this year, Coach. One of them with at least some family pedigree. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your staff?
Yeah, Luciano Mendiola, you know, his sisters played at El Toro High School and then went on to UW, Washington, and, you know, great athletes there. One of them is playing in the WNBA, the other one's playing in the South American League, and he was also a coach there at Washington, so he's had 2 years of experience there, and, you know, he's back here to finish his degree, and he's really been good for the girls and good for me. He's a very good assistant coach.
And your others?
And Sam Corrigan, he is a local guy. He ran track in high school, but he's coached some basketball, and he really wants to get involved in it, so he's going to be doing mostly the recruiting and the scouting for me.
Ladies, thanks for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you.
Oh, it was wonderful. Thank you.
Irvine Valley College women's basketball season will be highlighted by their own tournament, December 7th through 9th here at Hart Gym on the Irvine Valley College campus, and men's doubleheaders with the women's program every Wednesday and Friday for the Orange Empire Conference in January and February. On behalf of Julie Hanks and Emily Luckeroth, my name is Keith Shackelford. Thanks for joining us today.
Watching IVC TV.